There are thousands and thousands of urban legends out there, and honestly, while I would love to cover them all, I really don't have the time. And, some of them are really small, so in that case, I can't really dedicate a whole video to them. So I thought I would start something new. This would still be under the vein of urban legends, but in this case I will just read through some short ones, maybe 2, 3, or 4 depending on how I'm feeling that day. But for this very first video, tell me what you think. I'm gonna read through 3 short urban legends and edit them, how I usually edit the other urban legends videos. Buried Alive is a creepy story about an old couple who lived together in a little house on the edge of town. They had been married for so long that they knew everything about each other. They knew each other so well that they even finished each other's sentences. One day, the old woman fell ill, and her husband spent every day by her bedside, trying to nurse her back to health. Unfortunately, the old woman passed away, and her husband was devastated by the loss. She was his one true love. Soon afterwards, the doctor arrived and pronounced her dead. Because it was the middle of summer, they had a small funeral service and buried her the next day. The old man was so grief-stricken that as his wife's coffin was being lowered into the grave, he tried to jump in after her. The people at the funeral had to hold him back until the grave was filled in. Lonely and miserable, the old man returned to his empty house. That night, he was awakened by a strange scratching sound. It grew louder and louder, but he couldn't figure out where it was coming from. When he turned over in bed, he was met with a terrifying sight. He saw a figure of a woman standing outside his bedroom window. With horror, he realized it was his wife. Her eyes were sunken and hollow. Her mouth was open wide in a silent scream, and her fingers were clawing at the window pane. When he ran to the window and opened it, the figure vanished into thin air. He phoned the doctor immediately and begged to have his wife's body exhumed from the grave. The doctor refused to allow the coffin to be dug up, telling the old man that he was just suffering from stress after his wife's death. But the old man continued to see the same ghostly apparition outside his window every single night. Finally, the old man couldn't stand it anymore. He got out of bed, got dressed, grabbed a shovel, and headed for the grave. He came to his wife's grave and began digging and digging. When he eventually unearthed his wife's coffin and pried open the lid, he recoiled in fear. His wife's mouth was wide open, frozen in a silent scream. There were scratch marks all over the inside of the coffin lid, and her fingers were worn down to the bone. Tanning lotion is an urban legend about a woman who uses tanning booths and sunbeds to get the darkest tan possible. There was a young woman who was getting married to the man of her dreams. Her wedding day was approaching fast, and she wanted to look her very best. People were always telling her that she looked very pale, so she was determined to get a good tan before the wedding. The woman went to a tanning salon near her house and tried to book an hour on the sunbed. The staff at the salon told her that, for her own safety, she could only tan for 30 minutes at a time. After the session, she looked in the mirror and found that her skin wasn't any darker. When she attempted to make an appointment for another 30 minutes on the tanning bed the very next day, the staff informed her that she could only tan twice a week. After her second session, the woman still wasn't satisfied with the results. Fearing that at this rate she would never have a proper tan, the woman came up with a cunning plan. If the salon could only have her 30 minutes, then she would book appointments at every tanning salon in the city, one after the other. She spent the next 4 days going from one tanning salon to another, lying on a sunbed after sunbed. Even though her skin was beginning to get a little bit darker, she was worried that it wouldn't be brown enough by the time her wedding day arrived. She went to a shop and bought a special brand of tanning lotion. This particular lotion was only supposed to be used by people who had a rare skin condition. The tanning lotion was designed to increase the skin's sensitivity to light. She hoped that this would help her skin tan to a lovely golden brown. She slathered the tanning lotion all over her body, letting it soak in. Then she set off for her tanning bed appointments. Later that day at the tanning salon, the staff noticed the smell of burning in the air. When they went to investigate, they were horrified to find one of the tanning beds was on fire. After putting out the flames, all that was left on the tanning bed was the charred corpse of the unfortunate woman. When the autopsy was performed, the coroner discovered that the woman's internal organs had been cooked from the inside out. By combining the tanning lotion and the sunbed, she had literally cooked herself alive. The Red Car is a scary urban legend from Mexico about a group of witches who travel the roads looking for men. It is also known as El Carro de las Brujas, or the carriage of the witches. They say that in Mexico, there is a scarlet red car that travels at night on the road between Mexico City and Cuernavaca. Usually, it is only seen by men who wander the lonely streets after dark. They call it El Carro de las Brujas, or the carriage of the witches. Inside the red car, there are 2 or 3 women. Sometimes there are as many as 5, and they are all very beautiful. When they see a man alone by the side of the road, they stop the car and try to entice him to get inside. They use sensual language, gestures, and promise that they will fulfill his dreams. If the man accepts their offer and gets into the car, he is usually found sometime later, lying lifeless by the side of the road, his bruised and battered body covered with cuts and strange arcane symbols. It is obvious that he has been subjected to some dark occult ritual in which he has been sacrificed to the devil. Some say that the scarlet lining of the red car is made from the blood of the victims.